Hey, fourth grade, it's Mrs. Schumann, and today we are working on our next 2 pages of our notebook. For me, it's 47 and 48, but maybe it's different for you. Today's lesson is titled Module 3, Lesson 16, Place Value Chart Division, Day 1. We're going to be spending more than one day on this topic, and yes, we are doing division, modeling out on a place value chart. Take a moment to fill out your table of contents, and whenever you're ready, press play, and we'll start today's lesson. Today our note pages are running vertically. You're going to notice that we have page 1 marked in the top, so make sure you're looking at the same page as me. Module 3, Lesson 16, and our objective is I can divide numbers using a place value chart. Division has some really rich vocabulary, so let's go over some of the crazy words you're going to hear about today. Here's a traditional division sentence, maybe one you've even seen before. The whole number that we start with has a very special name. It's called a dividend, and you're going to notice the spelling for dividend right here. Let's take a moment, and in our best, nicest handwriting, we're going to fill in the vocabulary word dividend right above our whole number. I know it's tough to do. It's a tight squeeze. I appreciate your effort. Then you have the number that's dividing the dividend, the number of groups we're breaking apart from the dividend. The number that we're dividing has a special name, and it's called the divisor. The number that's dividing is called the divisor. When we get our answer, we have a very specific name for the answer of a division problem, and it's a quotient. Your spelling is down below here. In the final box, name your answer, the quotient. And if you fall off the page, it's cool because guess what? So did I. Now that we have some of the basic vocabulary covered, let's practice division on a place value chart. Be listening for words like dividend, divisor, quotient. The first number sentence we're going to solve is 6 divided by 3. We may not know all of the information, but we can identify our dividend and our divisor. Our dividend, our whole number that we're beginning with, is 6. When we're modeling division on a place value chart, we start by drawing the discs to represent our whole number, our dividend. And in this case, it's 6. 6 has no 10, so I'm not going to draw any 10s, but I am going to draw 6 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember on a place value chart, when you make a group of 5, you start a new row. 6. Our divisor is the number of groups we're breaking our dividend into. We're dividing it into 3 groups, so our divisor is 3. On our place value chart, we model our 3 groups below. I'm going to draw a line that separates our groups that we're creating and our dividend that we're starting with. I want to break apart our dividend into 3 equal groups. Here's one group, 2 groups, and a group below down there. The rule of division is that groups must be equal. Just like in multiplication, this only works with equal groups. So as I distribute these 6 ones, I only want to distribute them if I know I have enough for each of the 3 groups to get one. So I'm going to divide it 3 at a time. That's a lot to take in, so let me model it for you. I'm going to strike out 1, 2, 3, and redraw them so that they're spread out 1 in each of these 3 groups. 1, 2, 3. Before I do it again, I'm going to check how many I have left, and I want to make sure that I have enough so that each group gets their own. I have 3 more, and I have 3 groups, so I can do it again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I have no more ones to pass out. So that means I've arrived at my quotient. Each group has how much? Each group has 2 1s. 2 is our final answer. It's our quotient. If I divide 6 into 3 equal groups, I get 2 in each of the 3 equal groups. Let's practice this skill again, but with a 2-digit number. Let's start by identifying our dividend. Our dividend, our whole number, is 36. And we're going to represent 36 by drawing 3 tens, 1, 2, 3, and 6 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, start a new row, 6. Our divisor is how many groups we're breaking it into. And again, we're going to break it into 3 equal groups. So let's create our 3 equal groups in our place value chart. 1, 2, 3. Just like last time, I'm going to cross out and distribute each of these discs until I have no more to distribute. That will tell me how many will be in each equal group. Typically, we always train you to start with the ones. Whenever we do an operation, division's gonna be a little trickier. We're gonna ask you to start with your larger place value instead, and I know that's a mind shift for you. Let's start by spreading out these 3 tens. Remember, I'm only gonna distribute if I know that there's enough for each group to get one. And since I have 3 tens and I have 3 groups, I can go ahead and do it. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I have no more tens to distribute, so I'm going to go over and I'm going to break up my ones now. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to make sure I have enough to do it again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Since I can't break it up anymore, I found my quotient, which is how many is in each group. Don't count up your discs as in each group has 1, 2, 3. Pay close attention to their place values. You have 1 10 and 2 1s in each of your groups. And 1 10 and 2 1s equals 12. Each group has 12. Your quotient is 12. Now these were some pretty nice numbers, so let's take a look at your second note sheet when you have numbers that don't divide into equal groups. Just like on the last page, we're going to begin with some vocabulary. Some vocabulary you already know, but we're going to insert a brand new word in there for you. Starting with your whole number, remember that this is your dividend. Your whole number that you're beginning with is your dividend. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze your word into the box. Next is the number of groups you're breaking your dividend into. The number you're dividing by is called your divisor. When you get your answer, remember that an answer to a division problem has a special name and it's called a quotient. But let's talk about this new term here. You see the letter R and the number 1. You're going to see firsthand what happens when we divide and we have some leftovers that don't make it into an equal group. If there's a little bit left over that can't create an equal group, we call that our remainder because it's what's remaining. That's what the R stands for in our quotient. We're going to write the word remainder in our third box, and we are okay if it spills over. We have lots of room in our notebook for that vocabulary word. All right, be listening to those words as we solve these problems. Let's start with 5 divided by 4. Our dividend is 5, and let's represent that with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ones. Our divisor is the number of equal groups that we're creating. And today we're dividing by 4. In our place value chart, let's section it off so that we have 4 equal groups. To make it easier for myself, I'm going to start by taking the empty space and cutting it in half. And then taking each half and cutting those into 2 equal shares as well. So that I have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces in my place value chart to distribute these 5 ones. Remember, I only distribute ones if I know that there's enough for each group to get one. I have to have enough for 4 groups to have their own. And I notice I have more than 4, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Before I do it again, I need to make sure I have enough for each group to get one, and I don't. I only have 1 disc remaining. So if I only have 1 disc remaining, I can't cross it out. This is where I stop. The number that's in the group is our quotient. We have 1 in each group. That's our quotient, 1. But we also have a remaining disc. That's our remainder. If you have any discs left up here that didn't get distributed into one of these groups, that's what our remainder would be labeled as. So I'm going to put a lowercase r for remainder and the number 1 to show that I have 1 remaining disc. My remainder is 1. Let's practice this again, but with a 2-digit number. 42 divided by 4. Our dividend is 42. And let's represent 42 on your place value chart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. My divisor, my number of groups, is 4. Just like the last time, I'm going to split my empty space in half, take my 2 equal shares, and create halves between them. Now it's time to distribute these discs. Remember, shift your mind. We're not going to start with the ones like we typically do with our operations. We're actually going to start with the tens. So we're going to distribute only if we have enough for each of these 4 groups, which we do. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means I can cross these 4 out and give each group 1 10. There's no more 10, so I'm going to go over to the ones to distribute, and, welp, I have to stop here. I don't have enough ones so that each of these groups get their own. So this is it. This disc represents my quotient, and these 2 discs represent my remainder. Each group has 1 disc, but it's not the answer 1. Remember, this is 1 10. So each group has 10. Our quotient is 10. The discs that didn't get distributed that are remaining are our remainder. So I'm going to use the letter R and the number of discs remaining, remainder 2. We're going to be practicing this more and more, so just really start to feel comfortable with this vocabulary today, 4th grade. Now it's time to start on your problem set.